official message for my 2-year anniversary. Ringo, what do you have to say? More TREATS's? Probably. Anyway, so I can't decide, is it sunny enough for sunglasses or not? I can't decide. Anyway, so I don't even have my watch on. I don't know why. I'm looking to see what time it is. I've been trying to figure out all day what I want to say. And I haven't been able to figure out what I want to say. But I need to say something because I'm about to go to a friend's house. And we've been through a lot in 2 years. And I think the biggest thing that's been on my heart is that I don't want to necessarily rehash from 2 years ago. I just want to kind of talk about where I am now, where I am now. I think that's kind of where my heart is, because I can link to videos where I talked about how I drove through the house, and if you're new here, I'll link to those videos so you can learn how I drove through the house and how they thought it was a police investigation, or how they thought I was drunk and how it was a whole police investigation and all that good stuff. I can link to those videos. I've got all that. But yeah, what's really on my heart is where I am now. And survivorship is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Yesterday, I went and visited a friend who is now in hospice. I consider him my GBM twin. So I have an MRI buddy in my support group because we used to get MRIs at the same time. He also has GBM and he's doing great. I'm not naming any names, but if you're watching or his wife is watching, so I have my MRI twin and then I have my GBM twin, because we were diagnosed nearly the same time. He got diagnosed about 5 months before me. We're in the same support group, the in-person one. And, just all of a sudden, it came back. And now he's in hospice. And hospice care for GBM doesn't mean imminent death. It just means, or most of the time it doesn't mean imminent death. It certainly doesn't mean imminent death for him. And it didn't mean imminent death for the other person that I watched go through hospice care. It just means that you're no longer treating the glioblastoma, and you're really just going from treating the cancer to just making sure the person is comfortable as the symptoms progress and as the disease progresses. So I went to go visit him and his wife yesterday up in Frisco, and and we had a great visit. And he can understand a lot. His short-term memory is just gone. He'll start a sentence and then can't complete it because he just forgets. And so a lot of the cognitive deficits are definitely there. And I think his tumor was in the same place as mine. I can't remember, but yeah. So he got diagnosed about 5 months before me. But that's kind of, whatever. That's why, they say that 5-year survival rate is in the single digits, right? And so survivorship is hard. And I think I've said this before, that, once you outlive your prognosis, which I've done, it's great. And I'm doing all these amazing things, but that just means that you're going to start to see people die and lose the battle, and and that's what's happening. On the flip side, I've been able to do a lot of good, right? I have a handful of mentees, both officially and unofficially, made a list now because I couldn't keep track of the number. I check on them, as often as is needed for their situation. When's your next MRI? How are you feeling? How was the chemo cycle? Someone at church just got diagnosed with glioblastoma. I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't even go to that big of a church. How can there be two of us with glioblastoma in the same church? It's just, that is wrong. And my trip to DC was really cool, and one of the things that we wanted to do there was get Glioblastoma Awareness Day recognized as an official awareness day, and it's happened, guys. I found out on my cruise that it is now an official day. Oh, did that perk you up? And so that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So you will be hearing more about that. You might be seeing me in some stuff. I've been busy. So there's been some good stuff. So it's, so there's good. But, I still struggle. The last 2 days I've been just super, super fatigued. Like, super fatigued. I took a really long nap today. A really long nap. Still have some cognitive deficits that I'm working through, that I have to have strategies for. I play my little mental brain games to help with that. I have to be very careful with the way that I live my life in order to make sure that I'm setting myself up for success with that. So, if you're watching this and you have glioblastoma, just know that, this is part of it. Like, there are goods and bads even after treatment. I was going to say I wouldn't trade it for anything, but that makes zero sense. It's definitely awesome. Traveling. I love life. There's just so many amazing things about life. I just didn't realize that survivorship would be so up and down. And I didn't realize that I would have so many effects afterwards. But it makes sense. We just put my body through the ringer for like a year and a half. So, all these things that you don't find out because you're just fighting like one battle at a time. You're just fighting whatever's in front of you and not really thinking toward the future. Because to be honest, the prognosis is so bad that you don't really even think you're going to get to the end. And so when you're at the end, you're like, okay, now what? And you're like, oh, okay. Surprise fatigue every once in a while. Oh, okay. But, you're like, I would gladly take that over, the alternative. But I'm super happy to be here. I'm super grateful to be the minority. I love all my people. I love being asked to talk to somebody who's newly diagnosed. I love, at the end of it, they're like, I just love hearing how well you're doing. I love that you've given me hope. I love that. That's why I keep doing what I'm doing. That's what, is my passion. I love that I have the freedom to do it. I love that most days I feel like doing it. And on the days that I don't, I give myself grace to not do it. So, anyway, that's my 2-year update. And I'm so grateful to be here, and I can't wait to hear what I have to say for my 3-year update. 3 years. Let's do this again in a year, guys. What do you say? You want to do this again in a year? What do you say? 3-year update. Here we come.